Hello, Swivelheads. It's Greg Allison with Swivelhead News coming to you live with Nuke War News. Is this Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0? My friends, you probably heard a lot of chatter already about the prospects of this uh, flotilla of Russian ships that have just gone 25 miles, within 25 miles off the coast of Florida, heading toward Cuba. And there's a lot more than that. But this is really a message. This is like a warning shot. A lot of channels have just went into panic mode. Everything's about to go off immediately. No, not immediately, but it does indicate a significant rise in tensions, significant rise in uh, the threat that we're facing in the world today. Because this is not the only thing going on. Because also Russia is talking about sending missiles to their allies and other countries near and around us. Potential. They talked about putting nuclear ICBMs in Mexico. Well, yeah, we just had a new election in Mexico, a new president, this lady there. I don't think they'll take nuclear ICBMs there, but who knows? She is somewhat of a communist. And so we've got a lot of consternation there. Nicaragua is definitely a communist nation. Venezuela is a communist nation. Cuba is a communist nation, all allied with Russia and China and Iran. So they're not necessarily our best friends. And as we know, Mexico has aided and abetted in this transportation supply of fentanyl into the United States, mostly coming from China, which has taken out 100,000 American lives a year for the past 3 years. So we are in dire straits. Not only that, but Russia's also talking about changing their nuclear strategy, changing their ground rules for nuclear war. I kid you not. And furthermore, we see that well, let's go back to these missiles. One of these ships, they got a nuclear submarine, they've got a research tug, and they've also got a nuclear powered submarine, a research tug, and the Admiral Gorshkov. This ship is equipped with Zircon hypersonic missiles. It does have those missiles on board. Now, according to the Russians and according to the American side, there's no nuclear weapons involved, as far as we know. It's always possible that something can be slipped in, but as far as we know, there are none. We hope. However, like I said, this is a big warning shot across our bow. So we talked about that very ship, the Admiral Gorshkov, like a couple of years ago. It might have been just right after the conflict in Ukraine began. The Russians also sent the same ship right off our eastern coast, just like they did now. And that created a lot of consternation. We covered it. We were one of the first people, first channels, at least on my Green Greg's channel, that reported that. I wasn't reporting so much here on Swivelhead News back in the day. Oh, yeah, and by the way, recent rumors of my recent demise, as you can plainly see, have been greatly exaggerated, if I can talk. Maybe it has been, if I can't speak. Geez, guys, I have been uber crazily insane busy. I've had a lot of stuff on my plate. I'm going to update the chat room here to see who's in the house, and we're going to go into this news, and then we're going to we'll chat some among ourselves like we normally do. So then for the Breakfast Club members, the news will be early on. We got 27 in the room here. That's good to see. All right, folks. Especially this late hour. Hey, Arnold Smith's with us. Great. Awesome. Somehow he lost his phone number or something. So not been in recent communication with him. All right, guys. So good to see the folks that are here. Sasquatch Moon, Michelle, and Joyful Noise Ministries. Very good. Peggy. All right, guys. Jerry Gamble. Well, we got a lot of good regulars in the house. Okay, guys. So let's get into the news. Let's analyze it calmly and consider what it is and what it means. So give me a second here while I hit the share screen. Bada bing, bada bang. And we will start with the Russian warships that are in the area, heading down toward Cuba, as some people used to like to pronounce it instead of Cuba. Anyway, Russian warships conduct Atlantic drills en route to Cuba. Yeah, those new hypersonic missiles. Well, yeah, they're kind of sort of new, but I've been reporting to you about those missiles since what, about 5 years now. One of my earliest videos talking about the threat of Russia dealt with, I guess then it was their planned Zircon hypersonic missile and how they would be able to strike targets off our eastern coast and within America within just a matter of minutes, 4 to 5 minutes of one of these. That'd be faster than Poopy Pants Biden could put on his underwear and try to escape down to the Situation Room, the bunker underneath the White House. So, this is a system that could indeed pose a credible threat. It does, if it were to be used. And let's hope that's not the case. So, again, this is the Admiral Gorshkov right here. I've shown pictures of this before on this channel, and it does have those hypersonic missiles aboard. Forgive me for being redundant. I'm a safety engineer. We believe in redundancy. When I was in the military, they taught us how to communicate, how to make presentations. You tell somebody what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. It's called recapitulation in the end. So forgive me for repeating, but that's the way I'm trained to do things. That kind of drills the memory in. It helps people remember key points when you do that. So, yeah, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the threat matrix we face and a lot of the things we normally talk about here. And we will go into our just chat among ourselves. But we're going to cover the news first for those in the morning. All right, Rodney, good to see you here. All righty, folks. So, again, these ships are conducting drills. Of course, as you know, Putin's forces were also conducting drills before they went into Ukraine, and he said they was not going to do it. No way they were going to go in, and they went in, which a lot of us said that was exactly what they were doing, especially when we saw them sending blood supplies to the front line back in 2022, February 2022, and indeed they went in. So, yeah, these got closer and closer. According to some reports, they got within 25 miles. And of course, the Zircon hypersonic missile can strike fast from the surface, and that's one of the things we've been talking about in here. And of course, this caused a lot of consternation amongst U.S. forces. It put things on high alert, reportedly. Anyway, and again, I'm not making these titles. Rodney Middleton, thank you, sir. First super chat I hadn't done a video in a week. Salute, thank you, sir. I will start the super chats with a tenor. All righty. Mama sang bass. Daddy sang tenor. Well, me and I don't know. How'd it go? How was the song? I can't even remember the words anymore. No, Daddy sang bass. Mama sang tenor. Me and my sister would join right in her. No, gospel-y kind of song. I don't know, guys. I'm getting messed up here. Anyway, maybe Mama did sing bass. That's the new way, right? Forgive me. It's the wee hours, and I have been burning the candle at both ends and in the middle, too. All right. Another Cuban Missile Crisis. So this is what a lot of people are concerned. Now, this is a nuclear-powered submarine. It does not mean it carries nukes on board, although it could and may, but we're told it don't. And our intelligence officials, Lord knows how many times they have missed the reality of what's been going down. They have accepted the idea that there's no nukes on board. At least that's what they tell us. So apparently they went 25 miles off our coast, which is about as close as you can get and not be directly in U.S. water. So they got right up to the boundary, just as close as they could. So this is a Kazan nuclear submarine, as it's reporting here. So, guys, this is a message. This is a warning shot once again. So thank you for sharing that, Michelle. I will check that link, and when I get through the news portion here, she showed the link for how you can donate directly to me via my website, the PayPal button there, donate button, scroll past all the purchase worm buttons, because the only one active on that page is the donate button right now, and that's probably need to get rid of some of those. Because a lot of my worm farm is hit the road. We can talk about that shortly. Anyway, guys, so a lot of people, this has really got a lot of attention. A lot of other channels were kind of in panic mode over this, and some other people. So, yes, the United States has been shadowing these ships with a P-8 Poseidon and other assets. You can bet that's the case. And, of course, we had, apparently, if you put a KC-135 straddle tanker, that means you got other assets down there besides just the Poseidon. We were monitoring these ships very closely, shadowing them, as you can see, watching them through satellites and every other means, because it created a lot of concerns, as I mentioned. It created a situation of high alert. We do not know that the DEFCON level was budged over this. You see different reports, 66 miles, 25 miles. So, but this is Bulgarian military, and some of those reports are earlier than others. So which one's the latest, the most recent, which one's the most accurate? Who knows? We may never know. But this is what may be most concerning. Russia could deploy ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. We don't have to be intercontinental for putting them in Mexico to hit the United States. They just have to be theater ballistic missiles, basically. Intermediate range ballistic missiles from Mexico would be capable of taking out most of the United States. So I don't know if the word ICBM is the correct pronunciation for that, but that's what they're saying. They're trying to get the message across that, and here's what the gist of it is. Biden gave the go-ahead to Vladimir Zelensky, to the Ukrainians, to use American weapons to strike inside of what's traditionally been called Russian territory, which includes areas like Belgorod, because of the forces that Russia were mounting there to attack Kharkiv. And because of that, Russia goes, well, now, if you can authorize strikes with your assets, your missiles in our country, we can do the same for you. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So let's put this shoe on the other foot. That's what this is all about. How far will this go? We don't know. How will the Biden administration react? Will he react with the forcefulness that the Kennedy administration reacted by putting a blockade around Cuba? I don't think so. For one, Biden's Biden. And for two, we're talking about Mexico. How do you block in Mexico? It's huge. Well, we could, but then that would be an act of war. And Mexico's still our biggest trading partner. The politics of that would be off the chart. But we really got a lot of adjustment to do in our relationship with Mexico, considering what they allow to cross across the border. Fentanyl, for example, and potential sleeper cell agents, Chinese military prospects, perhaps even. So there's a lot to be looked at with that. So a lot of questions, guys. So, but then Nicaragua, Venezuela, yeah, there's a lot of constant, and it's not just Russia anymore, because also it's sending a lot of stuff to Israel. Iran has sent a lot of really big missiles to Venezuela. And guys, you just keep that in mind. So, and Venezuela may be a principal target for such things. You got to remember the vision that our good friend Stacy Zavinsky once had about two missiles coming out of Venezuela that would EMP us before she even knew what EMP was. She saw my videos, right? She had this vision, and she contacted me. She said, Greg, what is this? What does that mean? And I was shocked. Guys, might be time to start your preps and take them to the next step. There is some good offers here. If you go to prepwithgreg.com, go to Prep with Greg, and you will find my affiliate link if you use Prep with Greg to the My Patriot Supply. And they're back with the Grid Doctor with this $50 special here, $50 off. It's got a solar panel and this system here. If you need something like that, it's probably a better deal than I got with the Jackery and the Harbor Freight stuff that I've gotten. This is a better system. I don't use the lithium ion. I think it's LiFePO 4 lithium iron phosphate technology. And they've brought down a new special for the long-term food storage because the prices just are getting, it's just tough for people to afford stuff these days. So they got a 72-hour kit available now, which is just $24.95 if you want to check that out. It might be something to get you through a pinch if you get in a pinch of hunger, but this stuff lasts 25 years. So this is might be a good store for you to consider. Anyway, my friends, let's move. Oh, yeah, you can go in here and get a lot. If you're not into any of that, there's a lot of other stuff in here available. If you go to Prep with Greg and hit the logo here, it takes you into the store there, and there's a lot of things there. Let's move on. Again, Moscow could deploy ICBMs in Mexico. You see, it's not just coming to us from Zero Hedge. We're sitting here in Newsleak. A lot of people only go to major medias like Newsleak, but the fact it's in zero hedge to me reinforces it, not the other way around. So, and again, this is due to the tit for tat going on. Guys, Russia has actually declared America an enemy because of the things that the Biden administration has been doing, because of poking the bear. We have been declared an enemy of Russia. It's not a good place to be. Probably one of the greatest felons in our foreign policy of the last 3 years, I should say, the last 3 years has been the failure to bring Russia onto our side against China, but driving the bear into the dragon's lap. Because in the long term, the biggest enemy of Russia will be China. But we've poked the bear to the point that we've driven it into the lap of the dragon. And we've provoked the invasion in some way of Ukraine in doing so. So that is my humble opinion. We could have done a lot. Yes, thank you, Rodney, for posting the link with goldbacks. Yeah, you can get a special with goldbacks if you use the discount code GreenGraves. You get 1% off. So guys, we are in a risky situation here. A lot of this could have been averted, in my humble opinion. As you might recall, I did a series of videos with David Pine back a year or two ago, talking about ways to avert this stuff, to keep it from happening, and we have failed to do that. And the tensions are just still escalating. So now Putin just come out and said, hey, you know, Europe's defenseless and unprepared for nuclear war. And he's talking about his tactical nukes and, his interim range nuclear weapons. Not just tactical nukes, but he's talking about France and Great Britain, Germany. What he's saying is the United States is not going to risk itself for Europe. He says, just watch, guys. If we nuke you, the United States isn't going to risk itself to come to your rescue. Is it correct? I don't know. I really couldn't answer that. So that's a really good question. But he's really trying to divide the NATO alliance, of course. And of course, there's some of us that are questioning why are we even in it, given the way things are going and the risk involved in it. Should we be? That's an open question that don't get debated in our society. It should be. But Europeans certainly should know that they need to take on responsibility for their own defenses. They need to be able to carry their own water. And if they're concerned about Ukraine, that's their backyard. They need to step up. It's been America. Oh yeah, everybody's heard about these, probably about these corridors, claiming that if we go to war with Russia, they set aside all these corridors to send 300,000 American troops to the front line to fight Russia. Oh yeah, Europe's making way so that 300,000 Americans can rush to the front line. Why Americans? It just keeps going back to that. Why? That is the strategy of NATO right now. You may have heard NATO Canadian Prepper talk about that. He's talked about that quite a bit. Maybe a little different spin than me, but the whole thing is why us? He didn't ask that question, but his take on it is this would be after a tactical nuke, after maybe a full-blown nuclear war that we would rush in. I don't know. That's not what's stated, but that is his opinion, and it's not a bad opinion. What the case is in reality remains to be seen. Let's hope we never find out, but we're finding out a lot of stuff right now we didn't ever want to find out. That's the problem. The tensions are going up. Russia's been posting articles out there lately saying, hey, we're not bluffing. And of course, our side keeps saying, oh, well, it's just a bluff, putting them back down. We keep pushing across red lines, and we keep going to the red line, saying we're not going to cross it, and then just crossing over. How much farther will we allow these weapons like the ATACMS and so forth to hit strike, and F-16s to strike into Russia later down the road? Will we push it further? See, that's what Russia's asking. Just how far will this go? Will it go to Moscow? Russia's nuclear usage policies that are posted on the Kremlin website, we've covered those before. We've went there. I read through them in great length back, a year ago, year and a half ago. Went to that website. We went down them tit for tat, every bit of it. And it includes things like attacks on their nuclear triad, attacks on their early warning system. Well, a lot of their nuclear capable assets have indeed been hit by Ukraine, including the radar sites for their early warning system, which was probably getting dual use and attacking Ukraine. But guys, there's been several things done that's actually technically crossed the border for their policies that would enable nuclear war. Will it happen? I'm not saying it will or it won't, but these are all things to be concerned about. We just keep stepping further and further across these red lines. How far can this go is a valid question. The problem is, if you're thinking that Russia will keep backing down, that you can keep pushing the bear further back in the corner as you poke it, bear in mind, it just might bite. And furthermore, you're playing with fire. You're playing real Russian roulette. Our policymakers are so smug in their assessments, but how many times have our policymakers been wrong? How many times, if you look back at history, have they been wrong in conflicts in the Middle East and other places? A whole lot. A whole lot. Is it worth gambling our entire lives over? Is it worth gambling the security of the planet over? Is it worth gambling nuclear war over? And Russia is training with live nukes, tactical nukes, on the border with Ukraine right now. They have been. Will they use them in Ukraine? Yeah, some people like Peter Zion, who's a geopolitical analyst, says no, because they want to be able to take and use Ukraine. And if they nuke Ukraine with tactical nukes, that it would mess up Ukraine and a lot of the assets and things they want access to. Yeah, he may be right, but you got to remember too, especially with this tactical nukes, a lot of that radiation goes away after a couple of weeks. But it would create a radioactive blister in their area. But think about this: we hit Nagasaki and we hit Hiroshima in World War II. Those cities are thriving cities today, unlike Detroit, which never got nuked and fell apart. It shows you that liberal policies and woke policies are more dangerous than nuclear war, in my humble opinion. But look at Chernobyl, a nuclear power plant. And you just can't go nowhere around it. The Russian troops camped out around it and got radiation sickness. So, guys, and they kept Chernobyl, but just so you can go to see the nuclear power plants are a much bigger threat than nuclear war. So, hey, you don't know me, Mom. Morning to you. So these are all things to keep in mind. What is America doing that Russia and China haven't already done in wars America was in? Good question. But the thing is, it's just the tensions that we're facing now. I'll be reading the chat more in a little bit. Let me go on through the news here, and I'll return to some of the chat points. So here it is. Russia has claimed they're going to change their nuclear doctrine because of U.S. escalation, i.e., U.S. permitting resources to be used within Ukraine. Now, you can't blame the Ukrainians for wanting to strike forces that are marshaling to invade them before they hit them or hit the rear areas, the support areas. The entire, or a whole lot, I won't say the entire, but the vast bulk of what's going into Ukraine is going through two different points into Ukraine from Russia, and that is Rostov-on-Don and Belgorod. So, Ukraine might decide to really hit at those two cities, especially Belgorod from the south side. But, hey, Russian state TV is finally agreed. Well, I've been telling you guys World War III has already begun. Well, that's not news to us because I've been telling you guys that for some time here. It is quite a war. All right, let's see. And furthermore, you remember our good friend Sergei Karakanov? He's been saying that Russia should nuke first, escalate to de-escalate, that they should go ahead and use a tactical nuke. Now, it may not be they'd use a tactical nuke directly in Ukraine. They might do it within, some people say, the Black Sea or something like that, just as a demonstration shot. Maybe the Baltic Sea. That would really rattle NATO if that were to happen in the Baltic Sea, especially right off Kaliningrad, maybe. So where are we going here? But apparently, according to the war news 24/7, Putin has adopted this preventative nuclear strike. What I've reported you guys recently, not too recently, but not too long ago, was that Karaganov has been brought into the inner circle of the Kremlin as one of Putin's main advisors. It was after that they began the drills, live drills with live tactical nukes on the border of Ukraine. So what is really in the mind of Putin? What's in his head? I don't know. You know, our side tries to read his mind. I'm not sure that they're able to read a billboard with blazing lights on it, but that's another story. So here's something that TASS is claiming. This is some of the F-16s transferred to Kyiv will actually be deployed outside Ukraine. That's something Nate on Canadian Prepper has been telling you guys for a long time. He's been saying that over and over that Ukraine can't maintain the F-16s on their own, that they will be maintained and operated out of adjacent NATO nations. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But if that's the case, and now you see TASS making this statement, this is what drives home the following. Russia is ready to strike NATO airfields hosting Ukrainian jets. That would be a strike on NATO territory. Would this be a case where they might try to use a tactical nuke? Well, Lord would hope not, but it kind of goes back to Putin saying that, hey, you are not going to, you can't expect American support if we attack you in such case with nuclear weapons, European countries. Now, of course, this could all be a bluff, but, you know, the bluffing that we're playing today is very dangerous on both sides, because miscalculations is what leads to escalation in a lot of wars. It's almost led us into nuclear war with Russia in the past. We've had too many close calls. Fortunately, at those times, there weren't a big hot conflict going on in the world like there is today. So that makes it a little bit riskier today, guys. Well, maybe a whole lot riskier. Russia may be, Ukraine may be Russia's Vietnam, Larry. Maybe. But you know, it's right next to them. Vietnam wasn't right next to us, and they're, you know, pretty much the same culture of people to a high degree. Got to remember, Russia actually started out in Kyiv. It was called the Kyiv Rush. Anyway, way back in the day, a long time ago. So, and Putin's actually crossed over into NATO airspace, mile and a half, with the Su-57 jets, guys. So they're really testing NATO. They're testing the United States. They're trying to get a message across, basically, that not interfere with what they're doing in Ukraine. So whatever you think of that, I don't know. Ukraine's-Russia war. Anyway, guys, so indeed, the U.S. left a ban on the Azov Brigade. That's the one that's been highly questionable. Been a few of the members of that have had the inclination towards things that might have been in favor of Adolf. I'm not talking about the meat tenderizer. So whatever that boils down to, I don't know. But Ukrainian air warplanes have made some devastating strikes for the first time straight into Russia and the Belgorod region. And this is not the F-16s yet, which are not gone operational as yet, which you may have seen a lot of warnings from the foreign minister of Russia, Lavrov, about that, how they would consider that a nuclear threat because they are nuclear capable. That don't mean they're carrying nukes, though, just like a submarine that went, you know, close off the coast of Florida. And there's no indication that, and I would hope that NATO would not empower Kyiv to have such weapons. I can't see that, especially given that Vladimir Putin would really want to use them if he had them. Anyway, but Ukraine has made some breakthroughs with some of their strikes back, which I might buttress what Larry is saying, but still in a war of attrition between Russia and Ukraine, Russia's got a lot more behind them. I've always drawn the analogy and the war between the states with between Russia and Ukraine being like between the North and the South. South lost as a war of attrition because the South was outnumbered about 4-1 in personnel, and the North had the manufacturing capability, which is what you see today between Russia and Ukraine. So anyway, so let's go on here. So Kyiv claimed they took out some major air defenses, 3 air defense systems with attacking missile barrage. But now here's something to bear in mind. This is one of the things I like to point out to you guys. Ukraine exhausts entire stockpile of Zuni rockets. This poses a question, but you know what I've been saying is a lot of our rockets are, and you know, a lot of special artillery we're finding are in short supply, and yet you know how are we going to be able to face China later down the road, which has far more manufacturing capacity than the United States? Talk about a war of attrition. If we have to directly face China, if it's a prolonged war, we're in trouble. A lot of our policymakers, you know, before this war with Ukraine, you know, had the opinion that any war fought was going to be over in a day or 2 or 3. Just kind of like Putin thought he would take Kyiv in 3 days. Well, now we're having to reassess that, and we're saying, oh, that's not the case. We're really short on ammo, special artillery, and the dumber rockets, which are going to be needed in the end to win. The smarter rockets take out the initial command and control and a lot of things like that. But in the end, you need just a lot of plain ammo to win a war. Yeah, it's our governments that stir us all up against each other, Jerry Gamble, and all these cases. Anyway, I've talked about that a lot. U.S. will, but the problem is we're sitting, you know, we citizens and both sides are sitting around. We got to bear the brunt of the consequences of what our governments do. Anyway, so the United States is going to send another Patriot missile system to Kyiv after they've been begging for it, of course. Send more and more stuff over there. And I don't know how we pronounce this. Dnipropetrovsk. Yeah. My Ruski and Ukrainian is rusty. So, so Russia's tried to fire some missiles on it. Ukraine's claiming they took them out. You know, both sides always claim everything that was fired at them got taken out by their defenses, but we see from the explosions on the ground that is somewhat of a over-exaggeration. More stuff gets through than they like to claim. So, and this is the Irish Star put out this report talking about how Russia is going to provide missiles to allies around the United States. And they talk about Russian state media unveils map. This article don't show the map, which is pretty typical. I see a lot of articles that talk, here's the chart, here's the map. But you look at the article, it's not therein. But yeah, Russia did put a map out. It's not shown in this article. Anyway, so fire and explosion in Polish factory supplying weapons to Ukraine. Well, how did that happen? There's been a lot of discussion of Russian agent covert activity in Europe and NATO nations to thwart a lot of the supply. Well, of course that would happen. We've seen covert activities all around in this warfare scenario, so there's nothing new to that. That does happen. Now this is interesting, and this is actually something that the Russian forces are claiming. Russian supporters claim Putin is God's child, sent to save the world from World War III, from evil forces. You know, guys, none of these people, all these leaders on both sides are evil. You got to be, at the very least, a sociopath to get to the top of any of our governments just about these days. Maybe a psychopath. So, again, this has actually been Sergei Karakanov, our good friend I just talked about earlier. He actually wrote this, and it's been backed up by the what's his name? I can't. Yeah, Patriarch Kirill. He's the head of the church there in Russia. He's been backing this up, this whole narrative. And this narrative actually isn't new. We've heard this kind of narrative before. So I don't know, guys. I know I got a lot of American friends who claim that this is the case. I'm not taking a side on this. I seriously doubt if he's God's child, the savior of the world. given how he treats dissidents in his country. You know, it's almost as dangerous in Russia to be an anti-Putin, somebody campaigning like wanting to run against Putin for president. That's almost as dangerous as being a whistleblower at Boeing. It comes dangerously close to being as dangerous as being a whistleblower at Boeing. Probably not as bad. Yeah, being a whistleblower at Boeing is highly dangerous. Anyway, as you guys know, of course, Boeing's aircraft are so reliable, nothing falls off, nothing falls out of the sky. No. Their brand new Starliner, which just finally made it to the space station after 14 years and billions and billions of dollars, way more than SpaceX Dragon capsule. It's got 5 helium leaks right now. But no, there's no problem with Boeing. Nope, nope, don't look there. But anyway, guys, that's a Galactic Greg's video I need to make. I got a ton of videos I should be making. I just don't have time to do them, guys. I'm really choking right now. We'll talk about it in a little bit. So this is, you know, kind of estimates of warheads. I think some of these estimates are off. I think the China estimate is probably off. I think the Israeli estimate is off. I think both of those are higher than what they're reporting here. And who knows where North Korea is at? That's probably not too far off for North Korea. But I think the Israeli number needs to be at least doubled, possibly tripled. Chinese number probably tripled. But what they're showing is deployed strategic weapons are in pink. Now, this show no deployed strategic weapons for China. That's Boulder Dash. Reserve non-deployed. Yeah, right. And retired. You can see the retired in gray. Only the United States and Russia have retired weapons. And we've retired more than Russia. Russia has a greater count than us. I've seen counts for Russia going up to 6,000. So how accurate is these numbers? I don't know. But the deployed strategic weapons in Russia that are known and reported here are slightly greater than deployed strategic weapons in the United States. Deployed non-strategic, you know, that would be like maybe our tactical nukes. Well, we know Russia's got a lot of those, more of those. So this estimate, you know, is a rough order of magnitude indicator, but don't count on it for precise numbers. Anyway, whoa. Now, here's another thing that's been in a development in several countries other than the United States is jet-deployed, jet-launched ballistic missiles. China and Russia have them. Israel is developing them, but the United States don't have any. So there are calls now for the United States to use an Army missile to do just that. The PRSM, the precision missile that the Army has developed. This is a really poor graphic. Whoever put this graphic together. Really, yeah, I can't see this fighter carrying that big missile there, but anyway. So the Army developed this precision strike missile, which means it would have been developed just down the road from me at Redstone Arsenal. And they're calling for this to be air-launched. So maybe that's what they need to do. You know, they're talking about the Navy needs to use some Army missiles because they're cheaper than the naval missiles, like the Standard Missile 3, which is quite a capable missile that could take out intercontinental ballistic missiles. It's on par with our ground-based interceptor, almost. All right. And, of course, let's go around the world here and look at the overall threat matrix. It's not all in Ukraine. I think our biggest issue down the road is actually China, of course. So we say the best for last in that category. Houthis attack Greek-owned bulk carrier in the Red Sea. You know, we've been playing whack-a-mole with the Houthis, but they just keep on keeping on. It's like we don't seem to be slowing them down at all. Houthi missile strikes on 2 ships in the Gulf of Aden, confirmed by the U.S. military. So, you know, this whack-a-mole game we're doing is just using up that precious ammo that we might need for China. And now we see Hapag-Lloyd, I guess that's the insurance agency, Lloyd's, connected with Lloyd's of London, I don't know. Anyway, they say prolonged Red Sea reroutings regardless of ceasefire. So if there were a ceasefire, oh, that's a shipping company, excuse me. If there were a ceasefire, they're saying that companies still won't want to go through the Red Sea. They're just not going to be trusting it. So is our game of whack-a-mole with the Houthis in vain? I mean, if you're not going to go in and just take them out, then what are you doing? What are you accomplishing? I mean, the Saudis played whack-a-mole with the Houthis for years, and Houthis just kept popping up. They didn't slow them down. You know, they got mountainous terrain. They're being well supplied from Iran. They got a lot of people to call them. They can just keep popping up anywhere. So how in the world can you win playing whack-a-mole with the Houthis using our expensive munitions we might need in other areas? I've not been a fan of the whack-a-mole game we're playing because it's wasting our precious ammo. Even though this whole Red Sea thing is causing problems to the supply chain, it's adding, mobilization fees, which is very expensive with ships. I know I paid in mobilization fees when I was doing launches of hybrid rockets and balloons from ships in the ocean. I paid for that. It's a very expensive and takes time. These ships aren't fast. And it all adds to the cost of global shipping and the goods on your table in your house. So, all right. Son of a Moss founder tells all. And basically, here's another article on it. And not just from him, but a Hamas leader. What are they saying? Let as many Palestinians as possible. I'm not even going to utter the word here. But why are they saying this? Because they're also saying, hey, we got Israel right where we want them. By sacrificing their own people, and the sacrifice has been huge, they turned the world against Israel. That was the exact plan. So supposedly they just revealed this and it just came out. This is what I was telling you guys from the get-go. This is what it's been all about from the beginning. And I asked, how can Israel win? By doing exactly what Hamas wants them to do. So Israel's in a real pickle. The world has turned against them. The UN has been passing resolutions against them. Yeah, we may need these weapons. Yeah, it's amazing what we need for our homeland. We're out there protecting everybody else's border, but not our own. Highly dubious in my mind. Anyway, Iran doubles down on nuclear ambitions following the IAEA censor. So they're apparently enriching even more uranium to 60%, maybe to higher degrees. We don't know. How close are they to having the big boomer? Do they already have them? A lot of us think they had some from Kazakhstan after the wall fell. It's been reported that they got 3. I'd heard 2, then 4, but the latest words I'm hearing is the average 3. Anyway, it only takes 2 to take out Israel, believe me. If they hit Haifa and Tel Aviv, Israel's over. And Israel's ex-Israeli defense minister says Iran is planning an extermination program in the nuclear. Are they planning that? I don't know. But it wouldn't take a lot to take Israel out, and Israel knows it. Of course, Israel's got, probably 290, unlike the 90 that other chart I showed to you. Hey, we got old Fort Bragg in the house. Awesome. We'll have to ask old Fort Bragg a few questions here in a little bit about how the activity is going in his neighborhood. All right, ex-Israeli defense minister says Iran is same thing, a Holocaust. So we're seeing this pop up in various news sources. And the trash balloons. See, that's what they call them here in our media. North Korea sends more trash balloons as Kim's sister warns of new counteraction. Trash balloons. You know what's in these trash balloons? Same thing that was in Biden's pants at the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Poop. I don't know if you guys saw that video. Well, a lot of people think it was Biden's britches. Guys, they're sending human poop. And they've escalated it. They're sending a lot more. Hey, I'm a balloon guy. Balloons have all kind of potential use in warfare. Jeez, you remember how one of the tactics that the Turks used to overtake Constantinople was they flung catapults of dead animals that were infected with the bubonic plague into Constantinople. As a lot of people think that's how the Black Death got started in Europe, was from that barrage, at least one of the incidences of it. So it's almost like bio-warfare. If nothing else, it's nasty. And they're doing this because of South Koreans broadcasting into North Korea. Hey, there is such a thing as freedom. You could be a free people. Because all news going into North Korea is limited control. Only state news is available. That's what you get in a communist country. You don't get freedom of speech. You only hear what the party wants you to hear. Just like in China, where they basically erased the activities of Tiananmen Square from their history. They've even erased the commemorations of it. So now we're into China. Chinese fighter jets approached Dutch ship unsafely. Yeah, so they're being very, very pokey out there. Oh yeah, back to the Koreas. All this has caused some warning shots to be fired between some of the North Korean troops actually went outside the normal bounds in the DMZ, and there were warning shots fired at them from South Korea. So we got a lot of tension there. Uh-oh, what happened there? Oh, they don't. Heck with that. Delete that, and the heck with them. Border Patrol tells agents in key sector to release. Now let's take it home, guys. Are we protecting our border? Are we protecting our border? Border Patrol memo tells agents that we just heard Biden make this huge big pronouncement because he's got an election coming up. He knows that a whole lot of the baggage he's carrying, a whole lot of why people are voting or planning to vote against him is because of the way he opened the border. So now all at once, just a few months prior to the election, he's claiming to restrict the border. Remember when, if we passed this big aid bill to Ukraine, that he was going to invoke this control to only allow 5,000 across a day. Well, now he's said put out, and he could only do it if we put billions of dollars in the coffer to do it. And when a lot of said, all I know, he's got the power to do it. He can totally close it. If he can close at 5,000, he can completely close it. Well, now he's claiming he's closing it down to 2,500. What's happening, though, is we're making this claim, but it's at the inspection points. We're not putting the inspections on the border, across the border, to really shut the border down. So these guys are just coming across in other areas and not going through the choke points, which makes it harder to detect and know what's coming across the border, which satisfies the mules that for the cartels that run people into the country, and it gets them the ability to also claim a higher fee for bringing people in. And furthermore, once they come across and get captured, they're being told it's catch and release, just let them go. So you see the seriousness of the Biden executive order. Not very serious, is it? Hey, we got Doug in the house. Crappy tactics. Indeed, Doug. Everybody check out Uncommon News 777, guys. He don't get near enough watchers and subscribers. Go over there. Go to Uncommon News 777. Subscribe right now. Do it. He's got a good channel. Puts out a lot of good information. He don't hold any quarters back. There's no punches. Russia has two modern cities. Larry, I've known that. I've said that before. St. Petersburg, and Moscow. Anyway, yeah. But they got a lot of nukes. So Border Patrol memo tells, and they got an economy the size of Texas. Although their economy's been growing thanks to our sanctions, are actually doing a lot better. Anyway, Border Patrol memo tells agents in key sector to release migrants. Yeah. Guys. And now I kind of agree with this one. Biden administration is considering protecting undocumented immigrants who are married to citizens. Okay, that one I'll buy into. All right. If you're married to an American, you're the spouse. Why should the spouse of married to an American be taken out? So anyway, so what we know too is that the Ukrainian grid has been decimated by the attacks now here in our country. In our country, the Dems' climate agenda, especially in New York, is pushing the state toward blackouts. Well, who could deserve it better? We've been predicting this nationwide. So maybe if the blue states suffer it first, like California and New York, maybe they'll get the memo. Maybe they'll understand the cost of what they're pushing for. They're looking at blackouts, not just roving brownouts, but major blackouts, because they're pushing down the production capacity as we're trying to ramp up the demand on the grid. That don't add up. But then again, who said the liberals were good at math. So already subscribed. All right, Michelle, very good. All righty, guys. So, oh yeah, and by the way, reports I'm seeing claims that in the next 3 years or so, the next, especially by 2030, we would have to mine more copper than has ever been mined in the history of mankind just to put copper in the EVs that the Biden administration is trying to push on us. And the copper mines are already mining very dilute copper ore, very, very dilute, almost trace amounts of copper in the ore they're mining. The mining companies say it's not possible. More unobtainium being mandated by the vacant cranium of our POTUS. Yikes. Okay, guys, now we'll change topics. We'll get out of war. You realize that there's an agent in our sunscreen that blocks UV called titanium dioxide. Well, we're also getting it in frozen pizzas and candies and all kind of other foods. So what you're advised to do it's highly toxic, actually. You shouldn't be eating this stuff. Well, if it's below a certain level, it don't have to be reported. And some things don't even carry in their ingredients because it's below a certain level. Titanium dioxide, TiO2. And it's often passed as artificial color or colored with titanium dioxide. You want to avoid eating stuff that has this in it. It's in cosmetics. It's used in wallpaper because it's non-flammable. It's insoluble, so water's not going to wash it out. Titanium dioxide, guys. See, there's a picture of something's got it on the label. I think I've seen a picture of something with it on the label. That's one thing to watch out for. But another related thing to watch out for is this alcohol-based sugar substitute. Oh, shoot. One thing that I've been warning you guys about is I've been saying sugar is very bad for you. The only thing worse than sugar is all these substitutes for sugar, all the artificial sweeteners. Sugar is very bad for you, but the artificial sweeteners are worse. So what you got to watch out here for is an ingredient that's called, what is it? It's xylitol. Xylitol is XYITHOL or something like that. They're blocking me here. I saw it earlier. What is this? Is that, yeah, okay, I got to sit there. So here it is, guys. It's XYITOL, xylitol. If you see that in the ingredients of stuff you're taking, watch out, because apparently this increases the risk for strokes and heart attacks. Is losing a pound worth it? Give up your sweeteners. I like my tea unsweet. I drink black coffee, and I have been used to. I could lose a lot of weight by. This is in a lot of so-called keto-friendly foods. So they try to make food that you ought to know it shouldn't be on a keto-free diet, keto-free. So, or sugar-free. So watch it, guys. This stuff is gone up a lot in our products for your health. Watch it. Be very careful of what you ingest. I mean, guys, eat pure whole vegetables. If you're going to eat your vegetables, don't eat all this processed food. It's got all kind of other junk in it too, to include fructose and what do you call it? What's the corn syrup? It's used as sugar. Don't do that. Don't use it. Guys, this stuff is really bad for you. I've used to could lose. First time I lost 100 pounds, it was doing a low carb diet. Low carb diets keep them from gaining weight now, but they won't take it off. Not hardly, not much. So I've been fasting since February. I've lost almost 50 pounds fat, a little bit, 40 pounds at least, just by fasting. So I was fasting like 2 days a week. Now I've increased it to 4, increased it to 3, and recently a lot of weeks I actually fast 4 days. But here's a new one, guys. I'll show one more health tip. As a lot of us are aging, and according to the demographics, I see on my when I look in the demographics of my viewers, I see a lot of you guys are up in my neighborhood of age. Some of you may be a decade behind me, but you got to bear in mind things like this. They're claiming that Alzheimer's patients can protect their memory by inhaling menthol. well, that's an easy hack. But of course, this is according to some mouse study. Now, I think mice actually hate menthol. They mostly hate anything that's mint or from the mint family. So menthol is not a favorite thing of mice, but it actually can protect their brains from Alzheimer's, and we suppose that it also goes for people. I don't know, guys. It's a cheap and easy hack. It's not going to hurt you. So there you go. California minimum wage disaster. I warned you guys about this. We're having entire restaurant chains shut down. A lot of them are going more and more robotic. Oh, why do they show a picture of something with 333 on the address? Now, is this a hack that they put on us here? Oh my gosh, guys, what is that? Oh Lord. Anyway, yeah, when the minimum wage went from $16 to $20 an hour, it shook up the fast food industry in California bad. Tens of thousands of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had their hours cut back. A lot of fast food restaurants were shut down. There's an entire chain or two that's completely shutting down. The options are getting more limited and the prices are going up. Precisely what I predicted. That's what you want? Okay, fine. Earthquakes, guys. Look at Puerto Rico. Wow, Puerto Rico. They're dancing hard in Puerto Rico tonight. Look at that. Puerto Ricans love to dance in and around Puerto Rico, all in that whole area there. Guatemala got one. Small one. 4.9. That's not too small. So let's back off a little bit and kind of look around the world. We always got them down here in Toya, Texas is very common. Let's get this other one out here. That's two in Toya, Texas. We see them in this area. Well, that's well into Texas, but in New Mexico and Texas, this area has a lot of earthquakes. That one's interesting. Tom's Place, California. How close is that to super volcano over there? And this one is Colorado, Mabel, Colorado. The Juan de Fuca plate, for a change, seems to be kind of quiet today. Alaska always got something going on. Japan has got a lot of rumblers around. South Korea got one. Philippines, always something going on in Papua New Guinea, Indonesia area. Now this one's offshore from Krakatoa. Krakatoa is right in here. That is just west of Krakatoa. This area quakes a lot. Tonga. A lot of quakes in that area. Very, very common quake territory. 5.2 there in Papua New Guinea. So we got something over here in Greece, 4.1. This looks like Pakistan. Yep, Afghanistan, okay. Farakar, how you say it? And then China, 4.9. That's right in the middle of China. All right, guys, a lot of quaking going on. Quaking and shaking. All right, I don't know if you guys heard, but that sunspot that is turned away from us now is on its second pass, which back in May gave us our beautiful aurora, had fired off the largest solar flare this cycle. I think it was X9 point something. Fortunately, it was not facing directly at us. And now it's turned around and evolved out of view. Let's hope that sunspot group dies down before it comes back at us again. Who knows? The aurora aren't too intense tonight, apparently. Fortunately. Far side explosion. What? On the far side, one's powerful enough that it touches Earth. Protons raining down on Earth's atmosphere due to an explosion on the far side of the sun. Again, it's that sunspot, AR664. It's very active over there, my friends. Let's watch this. Boom, big flare. Send some protons our way from the far side of the sun. Wow. That sunspot group is enormous. It's powerful. Let's hope it don't Carrington us. Let's hope we don't get a Carrington level event out of it. Now, as usual, all the close flybys, it's always redder in the past. That was 2 meters. That one, if it did collide with Earth, would burn up in the atmosphere. Now, just because they show them 0 lunar distances, don't mean it's going to collide with us, because the lunar distance is almost 250,000 miles. So don't get too excited by that number, although especially if it's a smaller object like that. Now, again, as usual, going forward, today is the 12th. The closest, we got a couple of them here that are a little bit on the risk index, but it's because, I guess, the size, they're not passing that close to us. There's nothing that we know of between now and the 5th of August that's coming between the Earth and the Moon. Of course, as we get closer to that date, you'll see more and more of this kind of stuff right here. It's always the case. Now, weather, it's kind of cool over here on the east side. It's pretty warm over in the southwest right now. I've been seeing snowflake having reports of weather warmer than here, which is kind of odd, but it happens on occasion. So we'll look around the world in a little bit, maybe, if we got time. It's already 3:40. I don't know if I'm going to do that tonight. Might do a quick spin. I'm going to go to the chat room is what I want to do. So let's see what people are saying. Old Fort Bragg, 72 on the 16th. Also on Father's Day. Hey, Old Fort Bragg, what kind of activity you got in? All right, the news part of this video is officially over. We're going into the chat session. We'll just chat. We've been on for an hour. Okay, for our coffee club drinkers that follow us in the morning, I'll have a sip of coffee in their honor with my chill out mug here. Chill out, folks. Don't panic. Keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. Kim Possible. Oh, you just turned 60? Well, happy birthday, Kim. You're still a spring chicken. I'm 64. All right, it's time for me to check PayPal. That's when see what's come across on that, because whenever Michelle posts a link, I always get at least 1 or 2 donations there, sometimes 3. I've not been on here in a while, guys. It's been a week since I've been on here. I've been exceedingly busy. So I have to log in. All right, we'll see what you guys have done. Here we got one nice donation from Rodney earlier. Michelle Young, $10 super chat from Michelle. Salute, Michelle. Thank you very much, Michelle. I will check it again before we end. See where we're standing. Thank you, Michelle. I could have went, you know, when I do so few videos, I like to do something on Green Greg's channel. I get 3 times more views on Green Greg's than I do over here. So, no, the move is not done. You can see I'm still in Alabama with a bunch of stuff here. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm having some big issues. I made 1 haul load out to Arizona with so basically building supplies. I got another one like that to do, and my household goods will be the last thing I send out. I think I'm gonna have to put some household goods in storage here because I just don't have enough time to move everything out there. I'm down to like 2 weeks to get everything moved, and the water pump on my bus went out. I went and took my bus to get the kingpins replaced, and it cost a lot more than I thought it would. And then as you know, as I was going there, the water pump went out, and coming back, the fan belt that controls the water pump busted. Yeah, I'm getting that. I have to have that repaired. I've got work going on my big black truck, which I hope to use some cargo on. I'm trying to recruit some people to drive with me out there so I can take several vehicles out at a time. So I'm really a lot of pressure here because I've got to get it all done. I got to get it done fast, and we've been mainly concentrating on getting things squirreled away outside because I got a lot of big stuff outdoors. I have sold my boat. I've sold, you know, I paid $3,000 for it, sold it for a whopping $500. I've sold my 34 of my sled bed worm beds for about a third of the cost it took me to build them, but I got to clear stuff out. But all that's going to be gas money. Maybe some of it will help my repairs. It's going to take a lot of money and fuel to move my stuff. I'm even contemplating biting a bullet and renting a U-Haul. Trying to get both a U-Haul, and I can't get a U-Haul on my property, so that means I'd have to rent a storage unit in Snowflake to put that stuff in. Anything on a U-Haul. A U-Haul because it's so low to the ground in the back end, and the back end so far from the wheels. There's no way a U-Haul would get on my property. The way the contour of the hills and the washes are such that it would get stuck. And it's that contour, the geometry that got my bus stuck. My bus is much higher and better proportion for getting onto my property than a U-Haul, way better. And will actually carry more stuff than a U-Haul. And I'll have to pay a rental fee, probably about the same in fuel cost. I don't know, a lot of them U-Hauls may be gas burners. It probably costs more than fuel to run a U-Haul out. But I got to get stuff out here fast. I think I got drivers recruited, so I'll have to see about that. You may see me run a convoy next time I go out to Utah. That's the hope. I hope I got a convoy running with me. We'll see who really shows up to make the drive. Unfortunately, a lot of my so-called helpers like to show up when the sun's down. We need to get going early in the morning. Showing up late means another day. It's like 3 days in transit going out. And once I get them started, though, we'll be starting early in the mornings. Boats are fun, not fun. No, they're not a good investment. Not a good investment. And I didn't have nearly the time to boat like I thought I would anyway. So, yeah, I took it out, I think 2 or 3 times. That was about it. I just don't have time for such stuff. Thought I would, but, that was the hope, but it just didn't pan out, guys. Garage sale. I got to find time to do the garage sale. I posted a lot of stuff on Marketplace on Facebook, some things I've sold, but a lot of it not. Right now, there's nowhere for anybody to park in front of my house. I got a bus. I got a big 2-ton truck out front and some other stuff. Oh, yeah, and my Vanna White broke down. Just apparently it's jump time. Candy, my van that I lived in Arizona for half a year, seems to be finally running fine. So, yeah, it took me a couple nights to get my bus home. I was late at night, 2 nights just dealing with that. I've been up late at night dealing with other issues. I've been throwing away a lot of stuff while you don't sit. A lot of the drawers in here that had a lot of old files in them have been either gone to the garbage or the burn pile. There's a lot of, just old sensitive paperwork I've got to get rid of. I'm going through the finer stuff first, and I'm going to get people in here. We're going to pack everything. I've been getting more boxes for packing. Hopefully, we can get most of the stuff packed up in a couple of days once I get my sensitive items taken care of. So that's got to, before I get just an army of people in here, I got to get rid of anything that they might put in their pocket and would have, personal information that they could use. So, just a lot of things I got to take care of. Their physical security, has got to come first. So I'm paying a lot of attention to that. I have started drawing unemployment. So the downside of that is I had to spend time job searching to keep that coming in, a whopping $275 a week, which, don't cover the cost of the people out here that I got working for me. It covers like a quarter of that. Also I got DCX rocket will be going soon. 2 the smaller components are already gone. The ground plane and a bunch of the plumbing. The inner tank and the avionics bay will be next. We've had to make a way for people to come in and get that stuff. Good morning, America. How are you? How you doing? Can I pet that dog? So, yeah, there's just been a lot of stuff banded to you. Eastbound, westbound, and down. Put it up in trucking, however that song goes. Yeah, I definitely made one of those runs. It's good for me this time that when the water pump went out, it was here rather than on the road, like when my transmission went out in Candy. It's a lot easier to deal with things when you're dealing with it in your home base. If I have a major breakdown in Snowflake area, I've got resources. I have a major breakdown here, I got resources. On the highway, that's a different matter. So you just got to be careful, very careful. So, yeah. Problem is also, I don't know if I even got time for a garage sale. I really got 2 weeks to get out of here. I really got to get out of here, and I got to do it fast, and it's going to be a challenge. I can't really ship everything. I'm going to have to put some things in storage. I don't even have time to go through everything. I am going to be really stressed to deal with stuff. A lot of stuff that I would throw away, I don't have time to even dig into. I'm just, I'm trying to take care of the sensitive stuff. So that's my top priority in that. I just got to pack stuff, put a lot of stuff in storage and sort through it later. There's no way I'm getting everything in my tiny home. No, I've given a lot. I've given files for the local Space Society group to them. They took away a bunch of files. Had my daughter come by here and get a lot of dishes. My old radio belonged to my great grandmother. I gave it to her. That's why I wanted to stay in the family. And also a china cabinet, which belonged either to my great grandmom or my grandmother. I had two that were almost identical. I don't know which one that one was, but I gave that to my daughter and took it over to her place, my youngest daughter. So, yeah, storage is going to cost me, Rodney. That I know. I'll have to deal with it. Just deal with it later. It costs me more to be here because every month I'm here, I got to pay. It means I don't get paid for this place. I'm not collecting a single cent for the sale of this place. But I am still paying house payments. I'm paying all the credit cards I would hope to pay down. I wasn't going to be able to pay them off entirely. I'm not getting enough money to pay them off entirely, but I was hoping to pay off about 3/4 of my credit debt, although I've been running a little bit back up just to cover cost of fuel and other things. So some of it I'd paid down. Now I'm running it right back up just because Dixie Doodles, the pods will ship to Phoenix. And it's going to cost a lot of money to ship it from Phoenix up to, and pods don't ship to Snowflake, apparently. So yeah, everybody asks me that. I get that all. Believe you guys, I have spent a ton of time looking into alternatives. Ton of time looking at various alternatives. Hey, Billy the Kid, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. One of the downsides of the job searches is that eventually you're going to get hired by somebody. I got 2 job offers. 2. One's totally remote, which is good. But one of them is mostly remote. And we'll see how that goes. So that's one of the reasons I got to get moved sooner. I've actually accepted one of these job offers, which means I got to start work soon. So that will be good for being able to have money to cover things, but it's going to be bad because I'm going to have to start before I'm moved. So it's going to be a real challenge to get out of this house and get everything sold and getting rid of. So it's going to put a real bind on me time-wise. That's one reason I'm jumping. And it's one reason I'm not being on here much. I just don't have the time. I've seen all kind of news, crazy news been breaking in the space area. There's been several things I'd like to do on Galactic Greg's, Green Greg's. I had a lot of topics I wanted to cover. I'm struggling for time, guys. I'm seriously struggling. I have been out all night, a few nights recently, just dealing with things all night long, several nights. So I've got my hands full, and I'm, exploring options and alternatives, and it's been a real challenge. The other challenge is start work. Even then, it's going to be challenging doing videos, very challenging. Going forward. So you may not see me as much, even for maybe even next couple of years. I don't know. I'll try to do what I can when I can, but it's a real challenge for me now. And it's going to be hard to overcome. I may just have to try to find a different way to bring you guys content than what I've been doing. This whole thing of researching so many different articles is exceedingly difficult. It takes a lot of time to research them. It takes time to post them. And we're usually on here for a few hours. And I do have things going on tomorrow, so I do need to hit the hay before the sun rises, hopefully, but it's already pushing forward. The sun's going to be up in about an hour. So I do need some amount of sleep, and I get to eat tomorrow. I've been fasting 2 days now. So tomorrow is my eating day. I don't go over 2 days. I've been fasting. This week I fasted Monday and Tuesday, and now Thursday and Friday will be my next fast. So it means Wednesday is a day I can eat. I'm not going 3 days because I don't have the time to create special food that you would normally use and eat to mildly reintroduce food to your system. I don't have time to do with that. I just got to eat regular stuff. So I will break my fast tomorrow about lunchtime. So that's what I'm doing. Let me check through some of the other chat. Anybody class Social Security before FRA can suspend it at FRA. What is FRA? Normally 60. Yeah, my retirement age is 67. So I did not get full retirement because I did not have the expectation of getting a job. It's harder when you're highly specialized like I am to get a job, especially as you're older. Very difficult to get employers to entertain you, especially if you don't have a security clearance. In my area of expertise, I don't have a security clearance. That makes it even harder. Although I had a trust and partnership thing with NASA, which was the same type of review. You answered all the same questions, but instead of going back 10 years, you went to 7, but still it don't not count as a secret clearance. So yeah, that's something that the companies have to pay for, and you can't do legitimate work in the company till that goes through, which can be months. So they don't want to hire people that don't have that if they can avoid it, unless you're a young whippersnapper who they're just bringing in. So that's how that works typically. So old geezers like me have a harder time getting work in this field. I got surprised. I actually got 2 job offers, but they were late in coming. One of them I just got yesterday, and it's again with my company that I've been with for 21 years now. So we'll see how all that works out. I don't know, guys. I may have to go back and forth between Alabama and Arizona a little bit. So I made around. I'm still getting rid of this place, hopefully, if the buyer don't back out on me. If he does, that's going to be catastrophic to me, but I got to get here soon. I won't get anything till I get out here. The storage cost is cheaper than house payments and my utility bills and I got offered to rent a little space here for about $400 a month, which I might take that up. I'm probably going to take that up. Although I'd rather just find a place I can park a vehicle and kind of move around. I could save money that way if I can pull that off. But I've got to be able to work. I got to have access to internet and computer power to do all that. I got to set that stuff up in Arizona pronto. As soon as I'm out there, I got to set up my Starlink, which I'm not done. And I've got to set a good source of power up out there for myself. It's probably going to be generators at first. So a lot of challenges. I'm probably additionally, because of going back and forth, going to have to get something like a Verizon Cube. I think that's a good way. I mean, my little cell phone does a lot, but there are places that just don't cut the mustard for that kind of thing. Let's see. Let me go through the chat, get an idea of what people are saying. Sasquatch Moon, Joyful Noise. That's a good name. There we go. Now I'm on the right account. Oh. I just saw noticed you was on. Hey, Rodney, glad you're in here. Killer Smurf, good to see you. We are in scary times, guys. It's like we're playing Russian roulette with nukes. What America was done with Russia and China, have we already done? The wars America's in. Yeah, but countries we have dealt with, like Vietnam and Korea in the past, back in the day, they didn't have nukes. Thank you, Rodney, for calling for thumbs up. Whiplash. Good to see you, Jerry Gamon. Jerry's a regular, long time. All right, let's see what Larry's saying. June 2020, American F-15E Strike Eagle, more advanced version of the. Oh, looks like we got. Oh, thumbs up on Rodney's. Or we get another super chat. Did I miss it? Let me go down. Ding, 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 ding. Go to the kid. Yes, Rodney. Get a hamburger on me. Salute again to Rodney. Thank you, Rodney. Very generous tonight. Appreciate that. Second super chat from Rodney. Thank you. All that'll help buy me some grub and some gas. Grub and gas. Lord Almighty, I'm gonna have to put a lot on it. AG says halo. That's what I call my altitude liftoff program. That's why I say halo instead of hello a lot. As y'all can see. So I got me the Space Pioneer Award here. Yikes, guys. Yeah, y'all might want to consider that little solar generator that is with prepwithgreg.com. Let's see. I dropped the latest modification to the B-61 nuclear bomb design. Bomb in question. Yeah, whether you said he dropped it, or are you saying that the F-15 will not carry it? F-15. I did some work with F-15. I know F-15 systems because I worked on test program sets for the F-15. So I've been through the F-15 avionics. I've been through the M1 tank avionics. I've dealt with M1 tank. I've dealt with F-16. I know the avionics on the space station inside the Space Launch System and a few satellites that are up there. Especially, I had a lot of knowledge of the robotics systems. Also, I pretty much picked every pin out, and they've probably changed them since, and all the wiring in nodes 2 and 3 on the International Space Station. I co-wrote or helped write, I guess, really co-wrote the change request that established the utility rails on an external part of the space station. F-16s aren't some scary jets because it's nuclear capable. All American jets are nuclear adaptable. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Shield Maiden, good to see you. Where have I been? Guys, I've just been going crazy trying to deal with vehicles and getting everything ready to make another campaign drive out to Arizona. I've had the water pump go on my bus. A lot of stuff. Yeah, glad to see you, Doug. Good to see you. Alan laughing at Boeing now. Nobody wants to fly on Boeing aircraft now. Boeing has not sold a single 737 in 2 months. 2 months. Nobody's bought a one. That's what happens when you don't pay attention to safety and quality. Hey, we got another super chat. Let's scroll down to that. Robert Hodges. At times I feel like I'm living in a video game. Salute, Rodney. I mean Robert. Robert Hodges. Salute to you, Robert Hodges. Yes, man, it feels like we're in a science fiction, bad grade B science fiction movie, or maybe a bad video game. Yeah, we're playing. What is that? One of the video games that was a prelude to the dungeons. Wolfenstein. Yeah, it's like a version of Wolfenstein. I know the guy who did Wolfenstein. What's that other thing that's more popular? It came out later. Was it Dungeon something? I forgot the name of it now. I'm not big in video games. Anyway, John Carmack. I know John Carmack. I know the man. I knew him well before he started Carmack Aerospace, or Armadillo Aerospace, excuse me. Because he actually came close to funding my Altitude Research Corporation. But he was going to give me a little bit of money, and my regular investor stepped up and gave me a good bit more, enough to finish our Cat's Prize project. Love is Beautiful, 1910. Oh, wow, I switched to methanol cigarettes again. I don't know. That's not saying methanol cigarettes are good for you, but if you want to smoke a cigarette, maybe. Who knows if that's real methanol, though? Who knows? Pop balloon, a poop balloon, yeah. Don't pop the poop. What popping balloons? Don't pop the poop. Yeah, poop balloons. Biowarfare in the nastiest sense. Yeah, we could sell the articles in the American media and call them trash balloons. Yeah, it's not just they're not just flying garbage over. It's poop. It is literally poop, guys. And that's scary. Well, bless us. Whistleblower at Boeing makes North Sea crab fishing seem like a vacation. Yeah, no kidding. Well, there's articles saying that the safety guys were told to shut up and not report things and blah, blah, blah. You've heard that. But grid down's my greatest fear. That's what I've been warning you guys about the most, grid down. Yeah, EMP, there's too many ways to take our grid down. Our grid is way too vulnerable. Too many ways to take it down. Rodney's got a good name for those balloons. Yeah, I think you might be on to. Okay, now we got a report from Old Fort Bag. I see C-17s, AH-64s and formations, and white cargo jets with no windows. Okay, when you see the white cargo jets coming in, you know you're flying a lot of stuff. When the C-17s aren't enough to handle it, you know there is serious. You know it's serious. They are protecting the border to allow them in, to allow them in and process them all faster. That might be it, sailor. Lord, Rome did the same. Old style bio, yes. Yep, that is something that's happened. Putin wants St. Petersburg to be the cultural center of Europe. Yeah, I don't think the rest of Europe's going to go along with that. He probably would. Well, the Russian economy, I've seen reports that their economy has actually been growing a bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, Russia's economy is about the scale of Texas. In fact, Texas was ahead. Russia might have edged Texas out a little bit. 72 on the 16th. Well, happy birthday in a few days there, old Fort Bragg. Happy birthday. Don't get product confused with produce. Yeah, we like to eat produce. Problem is, a lot of stuff you eat is product, not produce. A lot of this so-called food, really, it shouldn't be classified as food. Stevia plant or sugar beet sugar. Now, sugar beet sugar is real sugar. Stevia would be a better alternative. But all this chemical sweeteners, don't do it. X2XOY. Dutch and Saints forecast earthquakes. Erickson teaches how to do it. Okay. Whoops. Stan Eckberg for health. Okay, Larry, I know you fast a lot. Is anyone noticing in your country the movement of eggs going from the shelves in your shops? Yeah, I've seen them in short supply. We could do like Steve Popper. Maybe that would be a good video series to do. Is just start taking reports from you guys. I'll show you something. I found, well, through myself, I found a pack of cigars from a couple of years ago. I'm paying over $5, maybe $5.29. I'll have to find one a more recent pack that's got a price tag on it. Look what I was paying then. Can y'all see this price? I don't know if y'all can see it or not. It says $3.19. $3.19 for a pack of cigars. They're up to over $2 higher now. Over $2 higher. They're over $2 higher. Makes me want to smoke one. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is another old pack here. I just took the price off. These aren't in too bad a condition, actually, these older cigars. So just always remember, when I used to speak at space conferences, I had these guys always say, you sound just like Bill Clinton. Oh, God, I hated to hear that. So that's where I came up with, I did not have sex with that woman. It was my cigar. My cigar did. My cigar had all the fun. When I smoked that cigar, man, that was one good cigar. Gotta have a little fun with things sometimes, guys. Right? Chat here. Full age retirement. Okay, Larry, thank you. Full age retirement. Yeah, I filed retirement for that, so I'll never get it now. And I'm worried I'm going to have to pay back what I got. This job goes through. You never know, though. Any job is always a risk. You know, you may get in there and discover Dungeons and Dragons, a board game. What is it what's that name that later game? Doom. Doom. That's the big game that John Carmack came out with. Doom. That was the big popular one. Before he did Doom, he actually did a bunch of children's video games too. There was one my daughter used to play when she was little, and one day I noticed John Carmack's name scrolling across the screen. Oh, my buddy wrote this. Some little character moves around and does things kind of game. All right, Rodney, my dinner's being served. I hope you had something good. Tell us where you're eating, Rodney. All right. And they Chocker, I hope you're doing well. And the heat in Arizona. Right now I'm in Alabama. They are having a heat dome over the southwest at the moment. I'm hopefully we'll be out there within a few days if I can get my bus running, get everything packed up. We're poking a bear, but why? Good question, Bill the Kid. Sugar from plants doesn't make it good. Regular sugar comes from sugar cane. That's where regular sugar comes from. But all sugar is bad for you, really. All sugar is bad for you. But the worst sugar is the ones they try to replace sugar with. The worst sweeteners, I should say. All those artificial sweeteners, they're all problematic. Don't do it, guys. Stay away from the chemicals. Oh, hey, Robert Preston, 79. Well, happy birthday. So, haven't heard from Bill Clinton in a while. Nicotine. I hear vapes are even worse, guys. Bill is keeping on the down low since Epstein. Also, you look at all the stuff they charged Trump with. They could have got Bill like that, right? So, yeah, guys. Yeah, Bill's staying on the down low now. Definitely staying on the down low. I'm no fan of Billy. That Billy, at least. Not Clinton or the Bill of Gates. The Gates of Bill. That's two bills I'd rather not get taxed with. The Gates bill or the Clinton bill. Anyway, yeah, he can play a sax. I give him that. I will give him that. He can play a saxophone. I will give Billy Clinton that. He would probably be a fun guy to party with. Hillary, no. Hillary scares the bejesus out of me. I just gotta say that woman just gives me the creeps. Of course, Bill's a creep too. Definitely a creep. But Hillary would just, I get the heebie-jeebies if I was around her. My skin, I'd probably get goosebumps on my skin if I was anywhere near her. Yikes, that woman's scary. The Clinton Chronicles, a good documentary. Oh, okay. So I did not have sex with that woman. It was my cigar. My cigar did. It had all the fun. Anyway, guys, you gotta have a little fun with things. Pardon me for that. Let me check the PayPal again. If anybody else went in there, she's something like that. That might be complimentary compared to what she really is. Gotta log in again. All righty. Hey, Kim Possible just gave us a great super chat, $25. Salute to Kim. That's why I logged in again. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Rodney, the two super chats from you. Robert Hodges. Thank you, Billy the Kid Norwood. Righty, folks. That all helps. That all helps, folks. Anywho. Yeah. Awesome, folks. I appreciate it. I'm going to stop the share. I'm not talking from this map. I don't know, should I spin around the world, see if there's anything looking crazy? Where's I didn't move my buttons on it where they used to be. Scroll out. Rain around here. It's always raining in this area of the world. Got some rain in the desert in the middle of China. Rain up through here. I'm sure they're glad to see that. Ukraine's got some rain and storms. A little bit in Africa, South America. Nothing super unusual. Like I said, there's a heat dome here with Southwest. Greg, what do you think about the Russians coming into Cuba? Yeah, okay, I covered that. Let me stop the share. I did cover that earlier in the video. Right now, it's a warning shot. There were a lot of channels that panicked over just. It's a warning shot. Now, the bigger threat is that Putin is talking about sharing long-range missiles with their so-called allies. in our region of the world. That could put, and these are more independent. They follow different paths necessarily than Russia. So that puts us at more risk. We are now in a multipolar world more and more every day. Our economy has been attacked by the BRICS organizations, trying to attack our dollar. And eventually they may get there. Yeah, Trevor, happy birthday to everyone born in June. I'll second that motion. Bill had relationships with his, oh, how nasty. I don't even want to read that out loud. How nasty. Wow. 12 miles from a Naval Air Force base, Belcassi, Louisiana. If I said it, I guess I'm toast. Maybe, guys. That's something you don't think about as a prepper. How close are you to a military base? Well, 12 miles, 14 miles, depending on what they use, you won't necessarily toast you. It depends if you're downwind. If you're downwind, you're more likely to get the fallout. The direct blast effects, you got a good chance of having cracked windows. You might have fires in your area, but the further you get away from it, the safer you are. I'm far enough away here from Redstone Arsenal. I probably wouldn't be greatly affected by the direct blast. I'd worry about wind direction and radiation here where I'm at presently. One reason for going to Arizona is don't have anything that close to me there, and especially don't have a big nuke plant so close. Now, in Arizona and western Arizona, there is a big nuclear plant operation there, but that's a lot farther from me than Browns Ferry is here. Browns Ferry is just 26 miles from me. Wouldn't be a good situation if something happened with Browns Ferry for me here. Chases on the other side of the river away from New Orleans. Okay, on the other side of the river. Well, you are. Okay. Are you west or east of it? If you're west of it, you might be better off. So, anywho, guys, I think it's time to call it a night. It's past 4 in the morning here. I think we're going to have 200,000 Russians that close to our border in a force that could invade. I think we got to worry more about the drug cartels in Mexico and things like that. Hey, Clayby, I just made 67 on June 1st and got all my eggs in one basket over here. Hey, well, salute to you. You got your potassium iodine pills. Good for you. Sodium iodine pills. Okay, Clay. Read it wrong. Alrighty, folks. Greg could start selling SPF 10,000. Might need it. You might need it. I think it's called a shield. Watch my videos on Green Greg's channel on surviving nuclear war. I've got several I put over there on that. Everything you need to know is there. Great detail. It even tells you how to make an improvised shelter. I get people all the time, Greg, I don't have the money. I can't afford a bunker. Me neither. But I've covered how to just take what you got. I can put a table across this table and desk here, and I can pile these books on top and other things, and I basically have a little makeshift bunker here. I got a lot of water outside that wall. I don't have much on this wall. I have to show some books underneath this desk here. Water. You need water, so you use water too. Be drinking as you go. And the most intense radiation is right after the detonation. It drops off fast. So if you use water for shielding, as you drink the water, it will. You're using your shielding up at the rate that's probably could be acceptable. You need about 2 feet of shielding, of good mass to shield you from the radiation. But if you're drinking water and eating food and you're going to be camped out somewhere for 2 weeks, you better have some way of dealing with your waste. You know what I mean? Greg, love you. A man that knows what he knows, I'll give you a top secret clearance. Well, thank you, Billy the Kid. The things that I've known and seen and the information I don't divulge because I know I'd get in trouble. On the government side, I definitely should be able to qualify for that, but you still got to go through the processes of that, and it costs time and money, and the employer has to pay for that. I haven't seen one ready to pay for that yet. I rode out Katrina. I'm so nervous that my hair is still standing up from Katrina. I don't doubt that. That was a bad experience for everybody down there. I used to have a secret clearance. Yeah, I did have a secret clearance too myself, but that's been a long time ago. I did hold a secret clearance back when I was working on this stuff. I had a secret clearance when I was in the Army. I had a secret clearance when I was in the National Guard. I had a secret clearance when I was doing this stuff. That was the last secret clearance I held. Was when I worked for the Strategic Defense Initiative. Under that for the Army Space, and back then we called it SDC, Strategic Defense Command. Now it's SMDC. And back then it was all part of the big organization. It was the SDO, Strategic Defense Initiative Organization. It was headed by Ambassador Hank Cooper. He was the Pentagon level officer, the head of SDO. Of all Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program, the top man was Ambassador Hank Cooper. And I have interviewed him on this channel. Who else in the YouTube world has interviewed anybody that big? He only got 1,000 views. So you got to be kidding me. Anyway, I just gone watching a shirt document on HIW to make a fallout shelter. Okay. Box, yeah. That's good. That's good. Tracy Broken Wings. I do show some of that on my video. I don't go into details on how to build them, but you see, you can look at the, just the layout and you can kind of figure it out. Those old 40s documentaries. There you go. Well, that's still good information. Radiation hasn't changed since the 40s. Radiation is still radiation. Yeah, me too, back when I was in the Army. Yep. All righty, folks, let's call it a night. I like to pronounce my K's often. I like to go to Knoxville. And some of the N don't have a K in it. I got where I could put a K in front of it too, like Nashville. You got Knoxville when I have Nashville, right? Most radiation from nuclear blast returns to the ground after a week. Yeah, in 2 weeks, it's almost all gone. The only thing you got to worry about at that point, the biggest thing to worry about, strontium-90. Strontium-90 it's on the same part of the periodic chart as calcium. So your bones will absorb it, and it will stay in your bones and keep emitting radiation as long as you live if you consume it. So you got to watch consume anything that's calcium rich, or especially like fish from the sea, where we used to love to eat tuna and eat the bones in it because it was rich in calcium. It was pressure cooked, and you could actually eat the bones and tuna and salmon that have been canned. Don't do that. Yeah, salmon and bones, don't do that if we have a nuke war. Anything prior to that, if they release enough radiation from Japan, I don't think it's still pretty dilute. I don't think you got to worry about anything being released from Japan in that category as of yet. Radiation go right through a 4-foot slab from what depends on the radiation. I go into my videos, I describe each form of radiation in great detail and what it can penetrate, what it can do, and how to protect yourself from it. And I talk about doses, I talk about sieverts, I talk about rest. All of that is in my videos in great detail. Go watch those videos. Yeah, Fukushima. Yeah, what a mess. What a mess. All righty, folks. Simplify says Robert Hodges. I guess that means you are a Marine. Great documentary on base contaminated wells. Oh, yeah, that's unfortunately. Yeah, 2 foot will really cover you. 2 foot will cover you. Unless you are getting cosmic rays, and then 2 foot creates more secondary particles. But you only got to worry about that if you're in space. Concrete. Yeah, 4 foot concrete's great, but 2 feet will do it. Most of what you need. 2 foot will take care of most of it. All right, folks, concrete's denser than a lot of things, so it's pretty good stuff to use if you can. But guys, you can take concrete blocks and just set them on top of the big wide ones, the big ones that are like 8 inches wide, or what's the big? No, they're 16 inches wide. Take 2 sets of those and fill them full of sand, if nothing else. Stack them up, fill them full of sand. Then put boards across the top and pile the sand on. That's a quick and dirty radiation shield. Just make sure you don't have an entrance straight into the outdoors. Have it where you got to go through a curved channel to get out. Put you a good door there. Get you some kind of way to filter air coming in. You're still going to have to breathe air. You can get a HEPA filter. That's even better. And you can get HEPA filters. Go to prepwithgreg.com and then click on the My Patriot Supply logo. You can go in there and get air filters, water filters, all that kind of stuff's in there. You can get HEPA filters there. All righty, folks. Thank you, Arnold. Yeah, I'm safe. Like I started out in the video and said, the reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated, as far as I can tell. All right, folks. If you can see my help. Hemp plants will take, yeah, they draw hemp and sunflowers draw radiation out of the soil, but it's in the plant itself. Remove the plant and use much care dealing with it. Get them out and don't use the compost from them. Get it, put that stuff away somewhere. Also, if you got compost and garden, throw a cover over a tarp or something and later remove it. Wash your roof off with the water after a thing like that. Watch my videos on what to do with about this stuff, guys. Watch my videos. They don't have that many views on them. Watch them. I go into more detail than anybody on these topics. I talk in great details about radiation. To a lot of people, that's boring, but yeah, go through the whole 9 yards. Everything you need to know. It's all there, guys. It's all there. Anyway, folks, thank you, super chatters. Thank you, mods, for keeping our channel clean. Thank you, everyone, for watching. The platform likes to stomp on me, so share my videos far and wide, especially here on on Swivelhead News. We don't get as many views on this channel as I would have got on Green Greg's, but they always demonetize these videos, and I'm afraid if I get too many demonetizations on Green Greg's, will take me out. Unfortunately, I think the policy is they could take out Green Greg's over demonetizations over here, so I got to be very careful. Acme Wally Cody, there you go. Acme Life Insurance. There you go, Rodney. Buy some nuclear war life insurance so they pay you out when there's nobody left to pay you out. It's like buying certain devices to protect you from EMP. Anyway, again, thank everyone for being here. And we're going to call it a good night to one and all. A good, wherever you are, a good night, good day,